Hey everybody, this is Valencia and welcome to my channel, Balloons and Business, where I show you the business of balloon and event decor. So I know it's been a while since I've done a one-on-one video with you, and I want to be completely transparent as to why. So at the beginning of the year, I did this little vision board video here where I talked about my goals for my business, where I wanted to increase my clientele, increase my profits, and increase my inventory. I also talked about my #1 business goal of owning an event venue space, which that is still my #1 business goal. However, because of some events that happened late last year, I had to change my focus. So I did mention in this video that I lost a few close family members. Those losses really hit me hard, and it made me realize that I needed to spend more time with my family and put them more as a priority. And anybody who works in this business, you know that this event will take up a lot of your time, especially on the weekends, because that's when events usually happen. This is especially true if you're doing this part-time. If you have a full-time job during the week and you're doing this on the weekends, this can take up a lot of your time and you're missing a lot of events with family and friends. So I wanted to prioritize my family more this year. I wanted to make the time to spend with them. I especially wanted to make the time to spend with my son. For those of you who don't know, my son, who is about to be 5 in September, is autistic, and he required a lot of therapies, speech therapies and other therapies as well. I wanted to make time to make sure that I took him to as many of those therapies as possible, and I did this year. And I'm thankful that I did, because he has just made a vast improvement since last year. In fact, he's gone from going to a special needs preschool to a regular education class for pre-kindergarten. So God has truly blessed me and my son, and he is making a way, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm also thankful for the times that I've been able to spend with my family and my friends. So with that being said, I've done significantly less events this year than I've done in previous years. Last year, I did about 40+ events. The year before that, about the same number. This year, I've done less than half of that. So if you've noticed that a lot of my tutorials have been in my house, that is because I've been spending more time, doing stuff in my house rather than doing events. However, since my son will be starting school in a couple of weeks and he'll be getting situated in that, I am going to start revving my business back up again. I'm going to start putting out more advertising and focusing on getting more events for the fall and winter months. So I'm going to be getting back on track with that and working towards my event venue space goal, because that's what I ultimately want to do. And so with that being said, I wanted to take some time and answer some questions that I've noticed that people have been asking me a lot in the comment section. I try to answer as many questions as I can, but sometimes I may not have the answer at the moment, or honestly, I see the question, I have the intent to answer it, and I just forget and don't get around to doing it. So I wanted to do a video where I answer some of the most frequently asked questions that you guys have for me. So the #1 question that people are asking me is, how many balloons do I use? Well, that depends on the design that you're doing. Sometimes it's hard when I'm doing balloon designs for clients and I'm doing an event, because I'm adding my clusters on and I'm working and I'm trying to get the job done before the event begins. So I'm not really counting how many balloons I'm using, okay? But I will use this balloon garland as an example, and I will give you guys an idea of how many balloons it will require to make a balloon garland like this. So for this balloon garland, each of the colored clusters, I did 3 dupes. So I did 2 dupes of 11 12-inch balloons, which is 4 balloons, and I did 1 dupe of 17-inch balloons, which is 2 balloons, right? So those clusters have 6 balloons in there, 4 12-inch balloons, 2 17-inch balloons. So I used about 14 clusters of those in this balloon garland. In addition to that, I also used about 13 clusters of 5-inch balloons, and in each cluster was 4 balloons. So when you add those all together, I used about 148 balloons, rounded up to about 150 balloons for this balloon garland. And this backdrop was about 7 feet wide by 7 feet tall. Now, whenever I do these videos, in the description box below the video, I do leave the information on where I buy the balloons, what brand I use, what sizes I use, and what colors I use. In general, most of the high quality brands, the 5-inch and 12-inch balloons are in packs of 50 or 100. The 17 or 18-inch balloons are usually in packs of 25 to 50, and the 24-inch balloons are usually in packs of 25. The 36-inch balloons, you can get those as a singular balloon or in packs of 2 or 4. So hopefully I was able to answer your question with that. Again, I can't answer it specifically every single time. Just know that I usually use 1 pack of each color in each size when I do a balloon garland, okay? Another question I get asked a lot is, how much do I charge? Now, I've done a whole video discussing this in detail, and I'm gonna leave the link to that video in the description box below, so please check that out. But in general with pricing, okay, you wanna consider the cost of your materials, the cost of labor, the cost of your overhead, which is any type of expenses you have in regard to your business, as well as the cost of travel, okay? So those are really the 4 main elements that you are using when calculating your price. The number one thing you want to consider though is how much you want to pay yourself. Because if you're not making money after expenses are taken out, then your prices, they're not going to be effective. In fact, I think the first thing you should consider in your pricing strategy is how much money you want to make an hour. How much money do you want to pay yourself? And then add on the cost of materials, overhead costs, traveling, taxes, and all that other stuff. So make sure that you pay yourself first and that you price for profit, okay? But check the link in the description box for the more detailed video. Another thing too, when you quote your prices, some people get really offended because they feel like you're pricing too much. And then some people get offended because they feel like you're pricing not enough. And that's where other balloon designers sometimes will do that. So people like to criticize a lot about prices, but I want you to be encouraged to price what's right for you. Don't price less to appease to people who don't want to pay your worth. But also, if you can make a good profit and charge a little bit less than the competition, then do that. And don't feel ashamed or bad about that, okay? Because you may have less expenses than they do. So don't feel pressured to do that. So that is one thing I didn't talk about in my pricing video that I started to realize on my own. So everybody has different expenses, different overhead. They live in a different area, different cost of living. So price what's comfortable for you at the end of the day. Next couple questions have to do with making the balloon garlands. I get asked a lot, do I use balloon shine? And yes, most of the time I do use balloon shine. I use high shine balloon shine, and I usually leave the link to that in the description box below the video. But there's so many different types of balloon shines. One of them, mega shine, which I've been seeing more and more, and I'm thinking about experimenting with. Whenever I do balloon garlands indoors, I do rub them down with the microfiber cloth regardless, because you don't want to get any of that balloon shine on the floor. It's oily and it could be very slippery and a hazard to clients and to the guests at the party. So I like to rub those balloons in when I am dealing with a surface that can be very slippery. Outdoors, most surfaces, I just spray the balloons with the balloon shine, but I do use high shine. I also get asked how many days in advance can you make the balloon garland. I usually make my balloon garland the day before. Now you can blow your balloons up and tie them into dupes several days before. So I do it the night before. No sooner do I make my balloon garland clusters and my balloon garland base than the night before. And you want to make sure that you keep the balloons indoors and away from an open window, because once they're exposed to air, they're more likely to lose air out of the balloons. Another question I get asked is, do I blow my balloons up to different sizes? Usually I don't. If you get a pack of 12-inch balloons and you try to blow up one balloon to 12 inches and another balloon down to 9 inches, it's still going to look the same. Once you do the balloon garland and back away and look at it, the balloon garland the balloons in that particular cluster will look the same size. So you want to purchase different sizes if you want different sizes represented in your balloon garland. Don't try to attempt to blow up the same sizes of balloons to different sizes, because it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't look, you're not going to see an organic look to it. It's going to all look like the same size from afar. So hopefully I was able to answer your questions. These are the questions I can think of off the top of my head that I've been getting asked a lot, so I wanted to answer them. And if you have any more, just go ahead on and comment and leave them in the comment section below the video. And I shall get around to either answering those questions directly or maybe even making another video to answer those questions. So if you enjoyed this video and you're not a subscriber, go ahead on and like it, and please subscribe, and you'll get notifications on future videos on balloon and event decor. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.